my vibrator. Not only my vibrator, but my literal sexual awakening and a whole new dimension of health. Now you're probably wondering, what a vibrator has to do with health? Well, for some context, I have been on quite the health journey over my 21 years. I was born covered in eczema. I nearly lost my vision when I was 11, and I was a competitive athlete throughout high school. Along the way, I saw all kinds of health professionals, naturopaths, dietitians, physios, and psychologists. I really thought my health was at its peak until my friend gifted me this, my vibrator. I don't have a PhD in sex, but the evidence for sexual health and wellness is there. We simply feel good after healthy sex and masturbation. Pleasuring ourselves releases dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins. Or put simply, makes us happier, less stressed, and improves our sleep quality. So, why do we still feel shocked, uncomfortable, and even a bit giggly when we talk about sex? Well, sex, and even more so sex tech, sleep under the covers of stigma and shame, and are a silenced conversation. Sex tech is that sweet spot between sexuality and technology that is designed to enhance our sexual health and experiences. But it has been born into a world where pleasure is considered indulgent and sex is considered shameful. At best, we sensationalize sex tech, from AI lover bots and OnlyFans subscriptions to our favorite guilty pleasure, 50 Shades of Grey. But at worst, sex tech falls into the same category of illicit drugs, pornography, weapons, and gambling. A dark and dirty domain that operates underground. Someone who is unapologetically shedding light on this $30 billion industry is the global sex tech leader, Brian E. Cole, the Sarah Jessica Parker of the sex tech industry. As a designer and aspiring entrepreneur myself, I want to join the likes of Brian E. in changing this industry. An industry that is about to climax. We are experiencing the foreplay of the next sex revolution. The technological advancements and shifts in attitudes towards sex are already here and will only continue to evolve. By designing sex tech for positive and healthy sexual experiences, this largely untapped market can redefine health and the fundamental human experiences of intimacy, pleasure, and connection. We only have to look to the evolution of mental health and self-care in recent decades to see the potential for the sex tech industry. People with a mental illness were historically labelled as unstable or dangerous and would often avoid seeking the necessary support, if it was even available. Recently, the mental health market was valued at over $383 billion globally, and the once niche ideas of yoga, juice bars, and companies like Headspace are not only more accepted, but are actually considered trendy these days. The relationship between our mental health and how we think, feel, and act is now well understood. And soon, sexual wellness will be typical conversation on our hot girl walks. So, do we think that buying a vibrator in the future could be the equivalent to buying a yoga mat today? It doesn't seem so far out of reach now, does it? After we strip away the layers of stigma, sexual wellness is left standing starkly as the next pillar of health, deserving of the same acknowledgement and resources that we invest into our physical, nutritional, and mental health today. As someone who has tracked my steps, my calories, and my period, I get really excited about sex tech innovations like Lioness. Lioness is a device that turns vibrators up another notch. It is the world's first biofeedback vibrator that collects arousal and orgasm data. We can then use this data to help us to understand the impact that everyday factors have on our sexual health, like mood, sleep, diet, and medication. Linus is helping to put sexual knowledge, control, and independence right into our hands, quite literally. One user of the device found that whilst alcohol gave her more confidence, it took away her buzz. The data showed that under the influence, it took her twice as long to climax. And so sobergasms are actually more enjoyable than boozegasms. Sex tech is way more than just toys and vibrators, though. It's the apps that many of us are already using every day. The cultural norm, you could say, for my generation. In fact, 75% of millennials and Gen Zs here today have swiped right on a dating app like Tinder, Hinge, or Bumble. These platforms aren't just tools and algorithms to help us to find a partner. They're reshaping the way we approach relationships, intimacy, and our own understanding of our sexual identity and desires. When we filter based on kinks, sexual orientation, gender, and my favorite, the star sign, we are exploring who we are and embracing the diverse sexual landscape. We also see sex tech doing amazing things for education and empowerment, like the online sexual health platform OMG Yes. This evidence-based resource, designed primarily for women, is helping to fill that educational gap around sexual skills, like how to ask for what you want, or finding the right language to use with a partner to have even better sex and spice up the relationship. Among its resources, OMG Yes shares videos and demonstrations on techniques for sex and masturbation, which empower people to understand, advocate for, and enjoy sexual pleasure. These skills aren't only important for the bedroom, but translate into improved communication and confidence to thrive mentally and flourish in our everyday lives. Since most sex tech innovations are new and emerging, they're really hitting the spot in bringing inclusivity and diversity principles right to that design forefront. Sex tech is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and many players are advocating that sex and pleasure are for everyone. For people with a disability, sex tech broadens horizons and makes sexual wellness more accessible. This community is often desexualized and disenfranchised, and so sex tech can often be their lifeline for safe and comfortable pleasure. One of my favorite examples of disability inclusion in sex tech is the joystick. The joystick is a vibrator that provides an adaptive, hands-free pleasure experience by simply hugging it or attaching it to traditional sex devices, reaching the millions of people worldwide who cannot masturbate due to disability, aging, arthritis, or other hand limitations. These kinds of accessible devices are helping to break down pleasure boundaries. Sex is one of the most universal, lifelong human experiences. Yet, a lack of awareness and advocacy for sex tech often blocks access to healthier sexual lives. Imagine a world where sexual pleasure is part of our self-care routine, where our sexual health app data informs our dietitian and psychologist, and where our GP prescribes a vibrator as readily as a pill. We are on the brink of a new frontier, a frontier that holds the key to unlock newfound confidence, strengthen relationships, and build healthier and happier lives. And look, like many industries, sex tech does not come without its challenges. But I want to design sex tech that not only improves well-being, but increases our connection to our own bodies, closes the orgasm gap, and democratizes sexual health. It starts with an unfiltered conversation and empowering ourselves to elevate our sexual wellness through sex tech. Let's embrace the space where pleasure and health pulse in unison. Sex tech is the next industry to climax. Will you come on the journey?